Humbly ask that you join me unless you are completely without sin, in which case you picked the wrong industry.
You know, talking about yourself at the moment.
You have as much time as anyone else will.
Yeah, well, okay, well then let me just ask you a few more questions and you can answer them if you want to and not if you don't want to. I mean,
the insane self-involved hypocrisy of artists and what they think they're allowed to do on occasion. Just my opinion.
Remember when Robert Downey Jr. was a total mess? Drugs, jail, Hollywood saying he was done. But now he's Iron Man, one of the biggest stars ever. So how did he do it? How'd he beat the cancel mob and come out on top? It's a wild story of second chances and proving the haters wrong. Remember when Robert Downey Jr. was Hollywood's golden boy? This guy had it all. He was young, talented, and everyone wanted a piece of him. By the time he was 20, he was already a star on Saturday Night Live. And his movies, they were making serious bank. But here's where things get messy. RDJ started hanging out with the wrong crowd. He got into drugs, and I mean really into them. It wasn't just a little partying on the weekends. This dude was out of control. He'd show up to movie sets high as a kite if he showed up at all. And the legal troubles? Oh boy, it was like he was collecting arrests like they were Pokemon cards. DUIs, drug possession, you name it. He even got caught with heroin while speeding down Sunset Boulevard. Who does that? Things got so bad that Hollywood started giving up on him. One producer said it was like watching a car crash in slow motion. Studios wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. Insurance companies were like, nah, we're good. RDJ was toxic. But you want to know the final straw? In 1999, this fool missed a court-ordered drug test and got sent to the slammer for 3 years. 3 years! That's when everyone thought, okay, he's done, stick a fork in him. But here's the crazy part. It was in prison where RDJ finally hit rock bottom. He realized he couldn't keep living like this. He said, you can't go from a $2,000 a night suite at La Mirage to a penitentiary and really understand it and come out a liberal. A harsh wake-up call, right? So RDJ decided to turn things around. He got clean, got serious about his career again, but Hollywood wasn't exactly rolling out the red carpet for him. Who was gonna take a chance on this guy? Oh, well, I'll tell you who. It was someone you'd never expect. Someone who knew a thing or two about second chances themselves. But we'll get to that in a minute. First, let's talk about why Hollywood was so scared of RDJ. Trust me, it's not just about the drugs. Ever heard of being uninsurable in Hollywood? It's like getting put on Santa's naughty list, but instead of coal, you get 0 job offers. That's where RDJ found himself, but why were the bigwigs so scared? What could one actor possibly do to make an entire industry turn its back on him? Well, let me tell you, it wasn't just about the drugs. Hollywood's seen its fair share of partying stars. No, RDJ was on a whole other level of risky. This guy was costing studios serious cash. We're talking millions down the drain, projects going up in flames, all because he couldn't keep it together. Take his time on Ally McBeal, for example. RDJ was supposed to be making a comeback, but he got fired instead. Why? Because he kept messing up, showing up late, or not showing up at all. Studios can't make money if their star's MIA, you know? And it wasn't just one show. RDJ had a knack for torpedoing entire productions. Insurance companies looked at him and saw a walking, talking liability. They were like, nah, we're not touching that with a 10-foot pole. And without insurance, no studio's gonna risk their millions on you. So there's RDJ, fresh out of prison, and Hollywood's treating him like he's got the plague. Who in their right mind would give this guy another shot? Well, turns out it was someone who knew a thing or two about second chances himself. Enter Mel Gibson. Yeah, that Mel Gibson. He put up RDJ's insurance bond for a movie called The Singing Detective. It wasn't a blockbuster, but it got RDJ's foot back in the door. And let me tell you, RDJ didn't waste that chance. He started small, taking whatever roles he could get. He worked his butt off, showed up on time, stayed clean, and then boom, Jon Favreau comes along and says, this guy should be Iron Man. The studio thought he was crazy, but Favreau saw something in RDJ that nobody else did. And the rest, well, that's history. RDJ went from being Hollywood's biggest liability to the face of the biggest franchise in movie history. Talk about a comeback, huh? But here's the thing, it wasn't just luck. RDJ had to earn that second chance, and boy did he make the most of it. So Downey's back on top, living the Hollywood dream. But here's the kicker, just as he's reaching new heights, the ground beneath him starts to shift. Suddenly, it's not about what you've overcome, it's about what you might have said or done years ago. And in this new world, RDJ's colorful past, it's a ticking time bomb. Iron Man changed everything for Downey. He went from Hollywood outcast to the face of Marvel's biggest franchise. Dude was pulling in crazy money, headlining blockbusters left and right. But while RDJ was soaring, something else was brewing in Tinseltown: cancel culture. Now, you'd think a guy with Downey's past would be prime cancel bait, right? I mean, the drugs, the arrests, the jail time, it's all there. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of hiding from his past, RDJ owned it. He talked about it openly, made jokes about it. It's like he took the power away from anyone who might try to use it against him. But it wasn't just his past that could have gotten him in hot water. Remember Tropic Thunder? Downey played a white actor in blackface. In today's climate, that's like waving a red flag in front of a bull, but somehow RDJ got away with it. Why? Because the movie was making fun of Hollywood, not black people. Downey himself said it was about exposing the ridiculousness of Hollywood. And Downey, he's not shy about sharing his thoughts on this whole woke thing. He straight up asked if it's even possible to make challenging art anymore without offending someone. It's like he's daring cancel culture to come for him. But here's the real kicker. Downey's not just dodging bullets, he's firing back. When his Marvel buddy Chris Pratt got heat online, RDJ stepped up, called him a man of integrity, and basically told the internet mob to back off. He even went to bat for Mel Gibson, the guy who helped him when no one else would. At an awards show, he told Hollywood to forgive Gibson, saying, "Unless you are completely without sin, in which case you picked the wrong industry." So how's RDJ handling all this? By being unapologetically himself. He's not bowing to pressure or walking on eggshells. Nah, he's out here talking about second chances and growth. It's like he's daring people to cancel him, knowing they can't touch him. And so far, it's working. RDJ's still standing tall while others are falling left and right. Maybe there's a lesson in there somewhere, huh? So RDJ's not just surviving cancel culture, he's thriving in it. But how? What's his secret sauce? Turns out the answer might be hiding in plain sight, in the character that saved his career. Ever notice how similar Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. really are? Think about it. Both of them hit rock bottom and clawed their way back up. They've got demons, sure, but they also know how to turn things around. RDJ even said it himself. "I seem to have been the person who's had to wait the longest for this kind of gratification." Sound familiar? It's like he's talking about Tony Stark's journey too. But here's where it gets really interesting. RDJ's not just living his own redemption story, he's out there fighting for others to get second chances too. Remember when he went to bat for Mel Gibson? That wasn't just a one-off thing. Downey's all about helping other troubled stars get back on their feet. And let me tell you, he's not pulling any punches when it comes to cancel culture. He straight up said, the minute anyone does anything wrong, they're thrown away. There's no chance for rehabilitation. There's no chance for redemption. Harsh words, right? But maybe he's onto something. RDJ's not just talking the talk either. He's walking the walk. He's teamed up with Mel Gibson to start a new production company. Their goal, making films that aren't tied down by Hollywood's woke agenda. At a press conference, Downey didn't hold back. Hollywood has lost its way. Creativity has been stifled by political correctness. But here's the real kicker. RDJ believes art should shake things up, not play it safe. He said, "For me, art isn't about playing it safe. It's about taking risks, even if that means stepping on a few toes." It's like he's daring people to be offended. So why does Downey think this whole woke thing is bad for Hollywood? Well, he's worried we've gone too far. He's even asking if it's possible to make challenging art anymore without ticking someone off. It's a tough question, right? But maybe that's the point. Maybe we need more people like RDJ who aren't afraid to ask these questions, even if the answers aren't always comfortable. So what's the big takeaway from RDJ's wild ride? Well, it's pretty simple. If you're willing to put in the work, you can bounce back from just about anything. RDJ went from being a total train wreck to Hollywood royalty. That's not luck, folks. That's hard work and determination. And maybe, just maybe, we should think twice before we write someone off. I mean, imagine if Hollywood had given up on RDJ for good. We'd have missed out on Iron Man, Sherlock Holmes, and a whole lot more. His story is a big ol' middle finger to cancel culture. You know, it's funny. Hollywood loves a good redemption story on screen, but they're not so hot on it in real life. Maybe it's time they took a page out of RDJ's book and remembered that people can change. Second chances aren't just for the movies, you know?